Well, good morning, Al.
Morning, Craig. It's good to see you this morning by this great miracle of technology. We're in the middle of the Baltic Sea. We set sail last night from Riga in Latvia. We're going over to Helsinki. I'm not quite sure when we're going to reach port in Helsinki, but as I look out of my cabin, we are right in the middle of the Baltic. So,
That's amazing. You do realize, of course, when we were in government, that they
right,
had to invest millions of dollars to be able to maintain broadcasts like this between
right.
people in the Baltic Sea and and back on the mainland. So it's amazing, amazing.
And I'll tell
Well,
you,
hey,
the weather
listen, I know
here,
you're a long ways away, but
uh,
your friends in Maine are a little bit sort of upside down today with, I think, in search of a new candidate. How are you reading it up there?
well, they are in search of a new candidate. As I understand it, just within the last hour or 2 hours, Graham Plattner said he was going to drop out of the race. And as I understand it, the party has until July 27th to pick a new candidate. I don't know who the candidate is going to be. They have had a they had sort of an unusual circumstance since the governor Janet Mills ran for the Senate. She was the party choice against Plattner, and basically cleared the field. So, and then she dropped out. So Plattner, who was the nominee, won the primary. But because she cleared the field for Senate, they apparently had three or four good candidates running for governor, and so they're looking to maybe one of the people who did not win the governor's race. But the other person that I've seen, and I think from what I'm hearing, and it's hard to hear a lot when you're in the middle of the Baltic Sea, but would might be a preferred candidate is Jared Golden, who was the congressman. For people who know Maine, basically you have a congressional district in southern Maine around Portland. Then you have one that represents the rest of the state, and it's a much more conservative district because a lot of the rural areas in the north are very conservative. But Jared Golden is a Democrat who has held that seat and stepped down this year. So perhaps he can be lured into running for Senate. He'd probably be the strongest candidate because the one thing we know about him is that he can win independent and Republican votes. And remember, Manchester State also that has an independent senator, so it's not a partisan state. But Craig, I was going to, say that this is a really interesting example because everybody is, you know, running against the parties and think the parties are terrible. But uh, one of the roles parties always played was vetting candidates. And now, as this Plattner story unfolds, you really see how he had no vetting at all. I mean, he basically, they were looking for somebody who looked good, looked like a working man on television, and a couple of activists plucked him out and got him to run in the primary. So,
My mind was going there too. I mean, we've both been involved in campaigns, and while it's not advertised, frankly, you do opposition research on your own
right,
candidate.
right.
There were firms that would specialize in this, investigative firms, to try to find out anything and everything that might be raised, fair or unfair. The dark secrets, if you will, that a candidate didn't want to talk to you about. And then I'm sure you've been in the position too. You have to go talk to the candidate and say, there's a little discrepancy here about,
Right,
of course, those are big issues like how the maid was paid and things like
right.
that. But it's just incredible that somebody could get as far as he did and not have that level of scrutiny. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I remember obviously President Clinton in 1992 had some controversial behavior, but I remember when on one trip to Texas, I sat down with the person who had managed Ann Richards' campaign for governor 2 years earlier because she had come under an incredible onslaught, and just get a feel for the kind of things that are likely to come up. And what you said is exactly right. anything that could come up is going to come up. And if you're not prepared for it, then your candidate's the one who suffers. And so I find it really interesting. And these candidates matter. I mean, if you think back to 2022, the Republicans probably should have won the Senate that year, but they had three candidates at least in Arizona, in Pennsylvania, and one or two others who were election deniers, who Trump had sort of pushed through the primaries, not very well vetted. And as a result, they had actually had an opportunity in Nevada to win. It was a Democratic seat, Harry Reid's seat was open. But uh, they lost because of the quality of their candidates.
Right.
And Democrats need to heed that lesson. We did not in Maine.
It's a curious thing though, as I've been reading this in Maine, it's the party, as you said, has to make a decision by the 27th of July, but the party, I mean, there's the chairman is back, he's a lawyer. The I think
Yeah,
vice chair or deputy chair, I think vice chair, a woman is a yoga instructor.
right,
There's a whole when you think about the consequences of their choice and how it could actually be the difference between
right.
which party controls the Senate, we're loading a whole lot of responsibility on people, not the voters, but people who are in the control of the party apparatus. This election has more twists and turns. I'm not saying it's not legal or it's not appropriate. It's just so highly unusual.
Yep. And but I guess I'd say better that people who at least have been around politics for a while are going to make that judgment. It certainly is not ideal. You also posted on Fromm and Fuller story about Michigan and one of the candidates, the third candidate, dropping out. But here, that's I think that August 4th primary might very well be the primary that decides who wins the Senate. I mean, it would not, as I sort of see it, the Democrats are likely to pick up North Carolina. They need four, right? And people thought that Maine was going to be pretty much a slam dunk. Little questionable, but I think the chances have increased if they have a candidate who doesn't have huge negatives, because the thing that would have Susan Collins has always done very well among women, and my guess is Graham Plattner would not have done very well among women.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, there are states, there's Iowa, there's Texas, there's Ohio, there's Alaska, but those are Republican states, so you have to win. Well, we'd have to win two of those. But if we lose Michigan, which is a Democratic state, then we have to win two more on top of that. That counts as two votes. In that primary, where you have a Democratic Socialist, El Sayad, running against Haley Stevens, sort of moderate congresswoman, and it's head to head. That's the one we really have to watch.
Yeah. I noticed, I haven't posted it yet, but I noticed the heat's getting turned up in Michigan in another way, and that is the Justice Department has said they're going to send observers to the election in August, and they're citing shortcomings of the way the election was conducted in 2024. Michigan authority officials immediately blasted back that there were these issues are false, based on false rumors, and there's no need to be sending additional observers. They can send observers, but those observers can't interfere with the process. But you just know that by the time we get to early August, the back
Yeah,
and forth between the Justice Department and the state of Michigan is going to be hot and heavy.
yeah. Well, I guess you posted a couple hours ago the piece about the attempt, including in Maryland, to get the voter rolls.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is going to go to any means possible to try to put his foot on that scale of the election. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that, and I hope our viewers. I know we're giving them sometimes a little bit of overload, but I hope our viewers appreciate it, because this is one of the tipping points for our democracy,
Yeah,
and
yeah, and really, you gotta stay vigilant. I've noticed that the
yeah,
message is getting picked up a little bit more around the country, and I think
right,
people are tuning into the fact that the threat really is in the States,
yeah.
and, that's where people have to really brace
But
themselves for some of this.
but the the experience of Trump going to Mount Rushmore, this hallowed place, and first of all, doing a video with in gold with the presidents in gold and him as the fifth president, which is, I mean, it's almost gross. It is gross in my view. And then his statements about, Republicans only will lose elections if they're stupid because if they break the filibuster and uh, pass the SAVE Act, they won't lose an election for 100 years. That doesn't pretend honest elections. And it's just, I mean, it's really incredible.
Yeah,
But hell of a way to celebrate our 250th
crazy.
anniversary of the
Well, now
greatest
he's
country in the
now he's
world.
turned his attention to NATO, and
Right,
they've got him for
right,
a little while, and
yeah,
I did see an amazing story that I think they said there were 30 representatives of European countries gathered to have a discussion about how they were gonna deal with Donald Trump for the
yeah,
next 2 years. It's just, it's just embarrassing. It really is, it is remarkable, and the trust
right,
level
right,
around the world and with respect to the United States is, it's just it's a reverse of what it used to be. It's really
yeah.
sad.
It is sad. Well,
Right, well, happy cruising out there,
right,
and it's good to get away, and we'll,
yeah,
if it works, if all the systems work, we'll see you on Thursday.
yeah, right. Great. Take
Take care.
care.
Bye.
See ya.